Hi everyone and welcome back. So we are continuing our 4-part series on how to move from self-doubt to clarity about your life's divine calling. And if you're like me, you may have had this thought sometime in your life about, what's my why, or, why am I here? But 2020 just ramped everything up. Because if you're like me, you've had those thoughts, but you've been overworked and overscheduled and maybe even overwhelmed. So you put those thoughts literally on the back burner. 2020 is the year to move it back to the front burner. Because what are the chances that you would be born for such a time as this? A pandemic, which hasn't hit in 100 years. And it looks like race relations finally are on a positive track in this country. So now the next question is, how does God want to use me to make a difference? And I'm going to tell you, He wants to use you, and not just in a general way, but in a specific way. Now, if you tuned in last week, you saw that we first start with awareness, because it's important to become aware how God is lining things up. If you missed last week's session, I would really encourage you to go back, visit our YouTube channel or our Blues to Blessings Instagram page, and look at that first video because it's very helpful. Today, we're focusing on how God is preparing you. And sometimes God prepares us in very subtle ways, so we miss it. Now, I'm in this kitchen, and today I'm just starting to prepare, I'm not there yet, but a great pot of gumbo. And I'm using this analogy because many times I will stand at this stove and throw together a meal in 30, 40 minutes. Can't do that with a pot of gumbo. I need to prepare. I need to think in advance. The first step with your gumbo, now, you don't have a good gumbo if you don't have a good roux. That's a fact. We know that, right? But also what goes into your gumbo is your stock. Now, when I'm really prepared, let me tell you, when I'm cooking a pot of gumbo, and here are my little ice cubes, because this is not ice, it's stock from all of my seasonings and from my shrimp and maybe even a dash of little chicken stock. And I have several of these ice trays. So when I come in here, now I put these cubes in there and I begin to stir and season this pot. And even with that, I let the stock sit overnight. Then I come back the next morning. So it is a process, and my gumbo isn't ready until sometime the afternoon of the next day. But I'm going to tell you, it's something that once you have some of Suzette's gumbo, you never want anything else, right? So anyway, but I'm being humble there. But I wanted to make this example because and you guys often hear me say, I'm a girl who I want what I want when I want it. That's where I started on my spiritual journey. I have now become more patient with the process because God has been more patient with me. So sometimes we're ready for something and then that something is not showing up. That's because God is preparing you. Look at how He had David in the field, just going back and forth, dealing as a shepherd boy. And sometimes we think our role is so simple. How could He have something greater for me today? I want you to know that you were born for such a time as this, and He does have greater for you. Stick with us for these 4 weeks to find out what those 4 steps are. Last week was awareness. Today is preparation. Look what He did from David. He pulled him out of that shepherd's field and gave him a 40-year reign as king. So He has something special for you. You were born for such a time as this. I hope this message has been inspiring to you today and will put something on your hearts and your minds. Tune in next week when we talk about transformation. Okay, love you guys, miss you, wear your mask and take good care, and then hit me up if you want to come taste some of my gumbo. Bye-bye.